Perfect. Well, welcome everyone to another Top IG professional development session. So we're very, very happy to have Dr. Liu speak to us today on the topic of transforming pronunciation teaching, integrating AI, Agile, and multimodality. Dr. Liu is the coordinator of the TESOL Masters in Education program at Temple University. Um, Without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Liu. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you, everyone in the organization committee, and thank all of you for joining me today. I appreciate this opportunity to present some of my work. I know we are a little bit late, so that without further ado, I will share my screen. Okay, cool. So I am going to divide this talk into four sections. In the first section, I want to give a mini pronunciation lesson teaching you a Cantonese word. No big deal, just a Cantonese word. I'm hoping that through this mini lesson, we'll be able to see some of the complexities that language learners are experiencing when they are learning pronunciation. I choose Cantonese because Cantonese has a tone system that has both level tones and also contour tones. So makes it closer to simulate the experience when someone is learning about intonation. And then the second part, we'll talk about complexity theory. In particular, I want to address the structural and functional complexity and what I call the butterfly effect in intonation. Following that, I'll talk about a pedagogical model that Tamara Jones, Marnie Ree, and I adapted from an interdisciplinary approach. And we're introducing this model to second language pronunciation teaching. And then I will talk about some of the latest research that I am doing and a website that I developed currently mostly for research purposes. It's called speakvista.com, which integrate artificial intelligence, agile model, and multimodality. Without further ado, let's dive in. So the first thing I want to talk about today is a lesson. I'm going to teach you one Cantonese word that means English. Okay. As you can see on my screen, this is the word English. And this is the IPA transcription. The pronunciation is Ying Man. You should be familiar with the consonants and vowels. The last bit of this is the notation of the Cantonese tone system. So if you think about this as your pitch range, right? So this horizontal indication representing the y-axis of your pitch range, and this vertical, this little dash is indicating if this is a high or if this is a low tone. So as you can see, ying is a high tone and mun is a low tone. So let's listen to a demo, and please feel free to repeat after me. Right. So
英文、
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 英文。
Ding Meng.
Are we good? All right. So let's now put that word in a control practice. And let's put it in a simple sentence. I like English. I in Cantonese is a monosyllabic word. No. And as you can see, the indication right here is showing that it's moving from low to mid of your pitch range. So it's a rising tone from low to mid, which is no. Like in Cantonese is a two-syllabic word, including the first syllable as hey, and the second as fun. Hey is a mid to high tone, and fun is a high tone. Hey fun, hey fun. And then the last word is English, and we learn it, yingman, yingman. So let's put it together and listen to this whole sentence.
我喜歡英文。
我喜歡英文。All right, so we've done this control practice. Now, we learned something, right? So let's try to think about us as learners of Cantonese. And we learn this in our classroom and we walk out over there and we feel like we learned something. And when they walk out of the classroom, they may hear something like this.
好多人覺得咧英文係好難嘅。事實上，如果你將英文同中文擺埋一齊話咧，其實英文同中文係有好多共通點嘅。
So as you can see, a lot faster, a lot more complicated, a lot more words. And people feel like, oh, I in my classroom, I feel like I learned a word, I know how to pronounce it, I can imitate it, I can repeat it. Right now, I feel like I know nothing about Cantonese, right? That's the feeling, that's the experience that our students are having when they are learning English intonation, when they're learning English pronunciation. So you're having this feeling that's very natural because a lot of the words in this spontaneous speech you haven't learned before. So I'm going to give you an easier task to do. Let's try to count how many times the word "ying" appears in this spontaneous speech. So in this multiple sentences recording, how many times the word "yingman" appears? Okay, and you can type your answer in the chat, and we'll see if anyone will get the right answer. I'm going to play this again and count the times. Okay.
好多人覺得咧英文係好難嘅。事實上，如果你將英文同中文擺埋一齊話咧，其實英文同中文係有好多共通點嘅。
Okay. How many times? Or do we need to listen to it again? Okay, 2. Somebody say 2. Somebody say 3. Okay. 3 is the right answer. Okay, I won't play again, but 3 is the right answer. Let me actually adjust the volume a little bit so that let me maximize the volume. Okay. So these are the visualization of the 3 times, and I'm going to play this recording again. And with this visualization, it will be a lot easier for us to capture the 3 times that this word appears in this recording.
好多人覺得咧英文係好難。
英文係好難。That's the first time.
事實上，如果你將英文同中文擺埋一齊話咧，
英文同中文擺埋一齊嘅話咧 ，That's the second time. Sorry, there's one last time.
好多人覺得咧英文係好難嘅。事實上，如果你將英文同中文擺埋一齊話咧，其實英文同中文係有好多共通點嘅。
Okay, 3 times. All right, 3 times. You're doing good. You're doing good. You're doing good. You've gone through the perception part. Now I'm going to give you another task. We've heard 3 times, and I'm going to play with you one of my son's favorite tasks, which is up, 1, out. Now, if we look at this visualization of the 3 times that the word "jingman" appeared in this recording, which of these one is the one that we should opt out? Is different from the other 2. Okay, again, you can type your answer in the chat. And as you can see, I label them as 1, 2, and 3. So which one we should opt out? Should we opt out 1? Should we opt out 2? Or should we opt out 3? Okay, somebody said 1. Patryk said 1. Patryk, is there a reason why you said 1? Sorry for putting you in the spot.
Oh, sure. No, not at all. Just visually, I see number 1 being at a lower frequency than the rest.
Yes, that is
154 hertz.
Yeah, 154 hertz. That is a good reason to opt 1 out. I also see a couple of participants saying 2. Can anyone unmute yourself and say why you think 2 should be opt out?
I can say why, because I think that 2 is harder to catch because it's in the middle of a bunch of words.
That makes sense. That also makes a lot of sense. What I want to say is that we can opt out 1, we can opt out 2, we can opt out 3. Okay, if you opt out 1, the reason is, as Patryk said, the pitch level is lower than 2 and 3. Well, you can also opt out 3 because you see that wiggly tail that 1 and 2 is more similar in terms of the shape. 3 has that wiggly tail that 1 and 2 doesn't have. You can also opt out 2 because it's kind of in the middle and it's hard to perceive. So we can complete the same task from multiple perspectives and dimensions, which give us at least 2 dimensions to think about. First of all, did you notice that there are actually 2 different types of pronunciation of the word Yingmen? When I taught you the first type of pronunciation, which is more of the Hong Kong Cantonese dialect. And let's listen to it.
Yingmen.
Okay, that's the one that I taught you. In the area where I come from, we say Yingmen in a different dialect with that wiggly tail. It sounds like this.
Yingmen.
You hear that? Mun, that little rising contour at the end. So
Yingmen.
And if you put 1 and 3 right here, you can see that's the difference, right? For 1 is Yingmen. For 3 is Yingmen. Did you perceive that? Or did you pay attention to that when you were listening to it? So I want to go back to this communicative framework for pronunciation teaching that's very famous. Cesar Garcia, Brinton, and Goodwin, and I saw Donald Brinton right here, so thank you. This is a very famous communicative framework that I think all of you are very familiar with in their textbook, page 45. So the first one is description and analysis. We've done that. Listening discrimination, we've done that. Control practice, we've done that. Guided practice, we usually do it in classroom, and then communicative practice. I want to add one more thing to this framework, which is spontaneous production. And my focus is how we can get it from the communicative practice to spontaneous production. And I think there is still a gap in there. Even though we're doing good for the 5-step communicative framework for pronunciation teaching, we need to put more attention in the spontaneous production, or how can we get students to transfer what they learn from classroom to their everyday use of speech, which will lead us to complexity theory. Let's actually translate that spontaneous production of Cantonese 3 sentences into English so that we're more familiar with it and we can have a closer look at this. And this is just a translation that I want to play you.
Many people feel like English is very difficult to learn. But in fact, if you put English and Chinese side by side, you'll find a lot of similarities between English and Chinese.
What I want to call your attention to is the word English. Cantonese, we say Yingmen, right? So similar to what I show you in Cantonese, the word English, we're now, if we take the perspective of an English language learner learning English intonation and pronunciation, if you think about it, okay, I learned how to pronounce English. But when I am trying to apply the intonation contour, the correct intonation contour, the appropriate intonation contour, effective intonation contour, and this English in the first sentence is different from the English, the word English in the second sentence, which is higher and louder and longer because it's in contrast with the word Chinese. And it's also different from English in the third sentence. Why is that the case? Marnie and I, we published an article in which we look at this complexity. We argue that there are at least two levels of complexity involved when we're trying to transfer pronunciation that we learn in the classroom to spontaneous speech. The first one is the structural complexity, which was defined by Hosen et al. As a inherent or absolute complexity capturing the intrinsic complexity of the system. So we feel like the first difficulty is that learners are not just manipulating pitch. And even if we just look at pitch itself, is complicated enough. But keep in mind that when learners are using pronunciation, they're not just using pitch. They have to control pitch. They have to be mindful of duration, intensity, consonants, and vowels. What they are doing is similar to a juggler, juggling consonants, vowels, intonation, everything in the air. They have to pay close attention to all these variables and not just one of them. That's what we call structural complexity. So what we usually refer to as one pronunciation feature, for example, sentence stress, is actually a system with multiple dimensions or multiple features involved. We also argue that there is a level of functional complexity. And this is the aspect that intonation or pronunciation is closely associated and in constant interaction with the information structure. For example, English and Chinese is in contrast right here. So that's why English has a higher tone or rising pitch level because it's stressed. And there is also a connection between intonation and morphosyntactical structure. And also, the intonation is controlled by phonological phenomena such as declination, right? If the word is at the beginning of a sentence, then it's actually higher. If it is towards the end, then naturally it's going to be lower. This is usually referred to as declination or downtrend in phonetics and phonology. So those are the complexity at the functional level. As Diane Larson, and those are the two levels of complexity involved when people are trying to apply what they learn in the classroom to spontaneous speech. Now, Diane Larson Freeman said, it is from the component and their relationships that the system we're trying to understand emerges. If we isolate component artificially, we lose the essence of the phenomenon we're attempting to describe. And this will lead to what I'm going to talk about as the butterfly effect of intonation. So before I talk about it, let's watch a video which demonstrates bird flocks, a metaphor that we usually use to when referring to complexity theory. For time's sake, I won't play the whole video, but I hope you get the idea. So the shape of the bird flock is affected, or the shape emerges from the interaction of individual birds. This leads to what I'm going to talk about as the butterfly effect in intonation. So many of you, I believe, are familiar with what is usually referred to as the butterfly effect, which says that a butterfly flapping its wing can cause a tornado, hundreds or thousands of miles away. And butterfly effect in intonation What I am trying to capture is the idea that a change at the local level of one variable can change the whole system, the whole intonation contour. As I'm demonstrating right here, if you look at these two sentences, and both of the two sentences are having exactly the same wording. So he, in the first sentence is that the third homework is due on Wednesday with the sentence stress on third. So third, suggesting that it's the third homework, it's not the second homework, it's not the fourth homework, it's the third homework is due on Wednesday. And the second realization of the sentence is that third homework is due on Wednesday. It's due on Wednesday, not Friday, not Thursday, it's due on Wednesday. Now, if you think about it, what the speaker is attempting to change is just the stress. The stress shift from third to Wednesday. But if you look at the pitch contour, this is so different, right? It's not just affecting the stress word. It's not like just the third is changing and Wednesday is changing, but the whole intonation contour is completely different in terms of shape, in terms of absolute pitch level. So that's the butterfly effect intonation that creates another level of complexity and difficulties in applying what we learn in classroom to spontaneous speech. Every time when I get to this point, there will be a listener who raises his or her hands or their hands, and my students will raise their hands asking a question. Something like these. You know, I don't disagree with you that there is a complexity or multiple levels of complexity involved in trying to use pronunciation or effective pronunciation in spontaneous speech. But look, I teach a class of 15 or 20 students. All of them are English language learners. I use a pronunciation textbook, which we do a control practice, we do communicative practices. Now you're saying that it's so complex, there are so many aspects of complexity that we have to be mindful of, well, be aware of. What should I do, right? How can I address these complexities? I don't disagree with you, and we all study language, you know, saying I don't disagree with you is different from saying I agree with you. Okay, so that's the question, right? So how can we address that complexity? My solution is technology. And before we get to the actual technology, I'm going to talk about a pedagogical or conceptual model that we developed to as the theoretical framework or this theoretical foundation for the use of technology. I want to make a comparison between the traditional waterfall model and the Agile or Scrum model. So Agile or Scrum model is first initially developed in the field of software development. Many years ago, when people were trying to develop a software, say develop an app, they do the requirement gathering and they do the system level design, thinking, you know, what are the features that we need? And they try to do the implementation and do the testing and they do the development and then maintenance, right? The whole process can take, you know, a year or 2 years. And then the problem with that is it's taking so long. So by the time something is available, people might have different requirements or different analysis and just it's taking so long. So people are saying, how about let's do this? Instead of trying to capture everything, trying to build the best app in the world or best app that we can build, let's start by building something that captures the essence of the things that we want to do, right? It's just a minimal function, the minimal functionable model. And then we just get a user to use it and we get some feedback. And then we try to improve it based on their feedback, which will lead to the Agile and Scrum model. So the Agile and Scrum model differ from multiple model in that we'll start by thinking, okay, the product that we're designing, we're not trying to get a perfect or near perfect model. We're just going to develop something that's usable. capturing the essence. And then we are going to do a sprints, which is a cycle that we are going to focus on one or two aspects that we're trying to improve. And from a lot of these sprints, we're going to make the software better and better and better. That's why you're getting these pushes like on iOS 11, iOS 11.1.1, iOS 11.12.3. That's the idea. This model has been found to be very effective and later got applied to many different other fields, finance and biology, chemistry, many other different fields. And then some person took this model and used it in rocket science, building something called Starship. As you can see, in just 2 years, and I'm sure you know how long it was when someone was trying to build a rocket. But if you look at from 2019 to 2021, this is the fast iteration and development of Starship. It's a huge or very drastic change that we can see, which essentially eventually led to this, right? So I'm thinking, well, if you think about learners' interlanguage, it's not perfect. They may come to our classroom as having an SN1 or SN3 or SN4, SN5. And our goal is to get them to this phase. And can we use the same rationale, using the same philosophy, the same idea of Agile to make it happen? So this is a model that Cameron Jones and Marty Lee and I proposed in our phonetics and language teaching elements, recently published by Cambridge University Press. So it starts with assessment of learners' interlanguage pronunciation, and then we can, for example, focus on individual sounds and do a number of mini lessons, do a sprint for 1 or 2 weeks, and then we assess their whole interlanguage system again. And then we focus on prosody, and we look at word stress and rhythm, we look at the syllable structures, and we assess again and do it again and again. So it's characterized by this fast iteration and repetition of assessment and sprint cycles, focusing on individual pronunciation features. This past semester, this past spring semester, I worked with a college, university English language teacher in China to implement this model. So what we did is week 1, we present the whole system of pronunciation. We introduced the whole system. Of course, we won't be able to talk about everything in details, but we were able to present the whole system to the learners. So establishing this metacognition of pronunciation as a system with multiple subsystems. And then we did assessment. We found that a lot of them are having difficulties with the pronunciation of the vowel at in the word at or bat. So we use artificial intelligence to design teaching materials, which I'm going to show you later in a minute, focusing on the improvement of at. And in the 3rd week, we found that they also have issues with other vowels, such as the word at in bet. So we add that vowel to their system. And we also add schwa to their system. And week 4, we add some consonants that they have problems with. In week 5, we focus on other problems. The result, we're writing up the paper right now, but the preliminary analysis of the result is very promising, encouraging, and we're going to present the result in the upcoming AERA conference. And of course, we're writing it up and trying to get it published as a journal article. Another feature of this implementation is the AI-generated material. So this is an example to showcase the use of AI in generating adaptive materials, pinpointing the issues, the pronunciation issues, or the individual sounds, or that problems that learners are having. For example, targeting on this the differences between at as in bad and act as in bat. We ask ChatGPT to generate exercises at the word level, minimal pairs, vowel, sound isolation, and we also ask it to give us some sentences, give us some sentences with these words that has the sound in it, and then we ask them to give us a passage, and finally we say, okay, can you give us some conversation materials that students can practice with each other. Again, referring back to the 5-step model, South Mercy up, and when developed, we use AI to generate materials at multiple levels. So I am going to show you something that I developed. Again, this is just a prototype that I developed for research purposes, but it is a website that put everything together: speech visualization, AI feedback, and generated materials, and also automated pronunciation assessment. So here is a demo.
So I'd like to introduce you to a website I developed called speakvista.com. This website is initially developed to do multimodal pronunciation teaching, essentially speech visualization. And later on, I realized the need to add more functions to it. So right now, it's an integrated platform following the Agile or Scrum pedagogical model. The website is basically very simple. What you do is you can record yourself, let's just do a very simple sentence. It's a great pleasure to be here today. And you would stop and then you hit submit, and this is going to submit it the director for various functions. So, and then when it's finished processing, it's going to show up right here, and these are all the histories. So the video details, and this is going to show you the results of the analysis. Basically, what I did first is to do a automated transcription of the sentence. Right here, it's a great pleasure to be here today. And then right here, you can play back that. It's a great pleasure to be here today. The automated feedback is going to give you a evaluation report. It's going to divide it up into fluency score, nativeness score, accuracy score, and then an overall score. I actually don't like the term nativeness. This is actually a parameter used by the automated pronunciation assessment program behind this that I integrated into the speakvista.com. But I am trying to improve. This is an area that I'm trying to improve. But let's take a closer look at the specific report. So, for example, this program, after analyzing the speech sample, thinks or reported that we have some issues pronouncing the word here. And it's going to give you a phonetic transcription here, and it's going to point out. And then for this individualized pronunciation training, basically what I did is that I take this automated pronunciation evaluation report and then I send it to a large language model. And the large language model is going to design the individualized pronunciation training materials based on the evaluation results. So this becomes more of an individualized. That's why I call it individualized pronunciation training. So, for example, targeting on the pronunciation issues with here, it says here should be pronounced as here, and it's going to give you additional words to practice: here, fear, to practice that sound that we were having problems pronouncing, and also it's going to give sentences. I'm here to help you with your pronunciation. And then right here, it's the second error that we're seeing right here is actually a stress error. So it's going to say that the first syllable in the word pleasure should be stress. And then if you go down, this is going to be a word stress practicing exercise. And then what I like is that I asked this large language model to produce a paragraph with all of the errors right here. So let's say we have 5 words that are problematic right here. So this large language model is going to produce a paragraph within which there are words with all of these 5 sounds or syllable structures. So right here, there should be here, right here. So in a small town, there's a beautiful park called Green Haven. It's a great place for relaxing, enjoying nature. Many people come here. See that? That's the word here. And this is going to give you an explanation. In this passage, learners should pay attention to the pronunciation of words like here. So this is all kind of an integrated approach. Now let's come to the very bottom part of the web page, and here you can generate a visualization of speech. So right here, this is a visualization of speech, and you can hear the speech again. It's a great pleasure to be here today, and it's going to give you a figure with all these pronunciation features. The x-axis is time, and also you see these, let me zoom in a little bit. So these words are presented right here with their phonetic transcriptions. So as you can see, the word here, we were having difficulties, or at least the automated assessment program after the assessment, it feels like there are some pronunciation errors or some pronunciation that we are saying is deviated from its standard, from the standard that this automated speech program is using. So in this case, it's going to be highlighted in red, showing that there is a potential pronunciation error. Well, the problem is it's not always accurate. I confess it's not always accurate, but this is going to at least provide us an indicator of a potential pronunciation error. So if you look at this, this y-axis is the pitch level of individual syllables. So each circle represents a syllable. As you can see, it's a great pleasure to be here today. And the height of these circles represents how high that syllable is. So for example, it's a great pleasure. So great has a very high pitch level, so this position is relatively high. The color of it represents the intensity, so how loud this syllable is, and this is good. We want it to be loud, so this is in dark color, which is good. Also, the diameter of this circle, so how big the circle is, represents the duration, so how long this is. So it's a great pleasure to be here today. So this is a good pronunciation. We'd like to see the ups and downs of intonation. The bottom part, we have a standard pronunciation from a native speaker. What I did is that I took the sample, took the transcription of the test, and then I sent it to a AI and asked the AI to produce a quote unquote standard model, so that learners will have a reference. So this is the AI's production of "It's a great pleasure to be here today." So that's a quick demo of what this website is capable of doing.
So yeah, that's as you can see, I also took the Agile or Scrum model. So this is just the, I would say probably 0.7 or 0.8 version of the website. I know we're all interested in pronunciation. I'm there to show you something that's not good enough and collect some feedback and comments from you. But that's the direction that I'm going. I'm seeing that as one potentially productive direction for pronunciation teaching, integrating automated assessment, individualized AI generated materials, and also speech visualization or multimodality pronunciation teaching. So thank you so much. That's the end of my talk, and this is my email. And because we're a close cohort, so I'm don't be hesitate if you want to shoot me a text message. I almost respond to every text message. I do respond to every text message that I receive, other than those messages that appears to be like a scam or something. So feel free to email me, text message me. Stay in touch. I welcome any feedback, comments, and collaborations in research or software development. Thank you so much. And here are the references. And I think we might still have some time for questions. Thank you.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Liu, for this amazingly thoughtful presentation. I think we still have about 5 minutes for questions. So if anyone would like to ask anything, please unmute yourself or raise your hand or just write things in the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the chat, and the URL is speakvista.com without space in between. Maybe try to add www.speakvista.com.
It works for me. Yes, the link works for me. It's just asking me to log in. So I assume that we can all request an account with you. Is that right?
Yes, that is right. Yeah, you do have to register, but the registration process should be fairly straightforward. Yeah, I'm still like working on it, trying to come up with an instruction on the main page, or so that everyone knows what to expect and what are some of the main functions. That's why I call it like 0.7 or something, 0.7 or 0.8 of the version. But thank you so much for your feedback and any comments. I welcome any comments. Yeah. So Leslie, I saw your hand raising. So do you want to unmute yourself and ask a question?
Thank you so much, Dr. Liu. I loved your presentation. Super interesting.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if you could just elaborate on your rationale for using AI to generate the model spoken element, and also your evaluation of it. Of course, it seems to be good enough, right, to use. And I'm just wondering what maybe drawbacks there are, so that we can present those to our students when we invite them to use this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you so much for your question. I actually appreciate that question, because I have to say that this is a prototype, and I currently still think of it as what we like the application of it as having human in the loop, what we call human in the loop. I do not think that artificial intelligence or automated speech evaluation program is good enough to be the instructor, be the sole instructor, because I can be very honest with you. The demo that I show is a good one, but I have had situations when the evaluation report doesn't really make sense to me, or there are some errors that are real errors, but they also capture some errors that I don't feel like is really affecting intelligibility. Because as I said, the way that I create this website is by integrating a speech evaluation model or pronunciation assessment model that another company from China developed, and they have some parameters that I don't like nativeness. But my rationale is to put things together and see this is what we have right now, and every aspect is evolving. Is like people are still working on it. Like people are still working on pronunciation assessment. I know Okim Khan has a model that she developed for the assessment of prosody. So I'm optimistic, but I do not think that students can use it by themselves. Can use the system right now by themselves without an instructor. I still feel like an instructor is needed to tell students, okay, even though the assessment program is saying this is not good, it doesn't affect your intelligibility. So you don't need to really worry about it. However, I do see the possibility and the improvement of these programs. And I think moving forward is going to give us more reliable results that can better indicate students' intelligibility. To go back to your first question, the rationale of using AI is very simple. I do not think, and I could be wrong, but I do not think, given the complexities that I presented to you about the use of pronunciation, multiple pronunciation features and multiple levels and the complexity involved in the use of the application of pronunciation features in spontaneous speech, I don't think it's realistic for a teacher by himself or herself to consider and to manipulate and to monitor and take everything into consideration. I do think that technology can assist teacher in generating reports, in identifying errors, in visualizing the speech contour and facilitating pronunciation. But I think that teachers should be the person who, based on these reports, design and confirm the study plan with the learners. Did I answer your question? Sorry, I oftentimes I answer too long. I hope I do address your question. And please feel free to ask the areas where you still find if there are still like follow-up questions.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. What complies native? Yeah, Patryk, go ahead.
Oh, no. Please go ahead. Sorry, I didn't realize you noticed that question in the chat.
Yeah, I was just monitoring the chat. I saw two questions that are
Thank you for doing that.
Yes. First of all, the speech evaluation system I use is a system developed by a Chinese company. The Chinese name is 科大讯飞. So I think the English name is probably 讯飞. It is a company that's related to the Chinese technology and science university. So they have it's either a company that's connected or a company that is working together with the university. So that's why I use their system. And to go to Laurie's question, what comprises nativeness in this model? They do have a manual on the website, and I could be wrong, but I do think, and that's the part I don't like. The way that these programs assess people's pronunciation is that they have a data set that they use to train this artificial intelligence or this evaluation program. And so it ends up that this, it's not real, but the conceptualization of the model of a sound, it's kind of like a cloud surrounding a model. All right, so the nativeness is indicating the deviation of your pronunciation, for example, the sound at with their model or this cloud of samples that they collected based on the a number of acoustic features like the F1, F2 formants, all of these things. So that's the part I don't like, and that's why I feel like a more accurate assessment model is needed, and hopefully designed by people who are like us, who are or at least collaborate with us, who know that the goal is to improve intelligibility and who is going to work with software developers to make automated assessment system that's better capturing intelligibility and comprehensibility. And B, I feel like teachers are needed. Teachers are really needed to tell students like, this is a parameter that you probably shouldn't pay too much attention. So I hope I addressed those two questions. Okay, so Nicole's question, is it based on British English? I saw a couple IPA that were not American. Will they tell someone they mispronounce it if using American English? I believe that the model that they use are mainly from the, what is it called? The timid, probably, so the most popular database that they use to train such a program is the timid database that University of Pennsylvania developed, or they have it, which essentially involve mostly white male pronunciation. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at their menu, but I am assuming that that could be the database that they use to train their model. I have been arguing that we really need to adopt a multilingual perspective and include models from different varieties of English. But again, I see the trend, I see the momentum of the field moving in that direction, but still there are a number of issues that need to be solved in terms of the conceptual model, the pedagogical model, and also the development of a automated evaluation system. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dr. Liu, for talking to us today. We're really grateful, and thank you to all the participants for coming. I just wanted to bring your attention to 2 links I posted in the chat. Please check out the Top IG Padlet for links of our past webinar to recordings of our past webinars. And we also have a newsletter, a mailing list that you can sign up for, even if you're not a member of CATESOL, and we'll be sending you information about current events of Top IG straight to your email. We're hoping everyone has enjoyed their time, and I wish you a wonderful weekend. Let's give another round of applause for
Thank you,
Dr. Liu.
Patryk. Thank you again for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to see everyone. And thank you everyone for joining me today. Thank you so much. Thank you.